This episode is brought to you by California Almonds. Almonds are a great addition to any wellness routine. They're the perfect on-the-go snack, and only a handful of almonds is all you need to get the benefits. Like 50% of your recommended daily value of vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect and keep your skin healthy. So no matter what wellness looks like to you, yoga, massages, listening to your favorite podcast, almonds are easy to bring along. Eat almonds. Live well. Repeat.
Per Las Vegas usual, we got a lot of news from the past week to cover today on the CityCast Las Vegas Roundup, so let's get right into it. The WNBA champion Aces are under investigation. Celebrity-owned cannabis is spouting up everywhere, and a Hawaiian state senator is trying to ban Nevada and only Nevada casino ads from showing up on their islands. Here to help us round up the news are my co-hosts Vogue Robinson and culture maven Andrew Corrali, publisher of TheList.Vegas. It's Friday, February 10th, 2023. I'm David Figler, and this is CityCast Las Vegas. Great to see you, Vogue.
Hi, good morning.
And hey, Andrew, welcome to your first CityCast Las Vegas.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, Andrew, we're going to put you on the hot seat first. You're a sporty fellow, so explain why the Las Vegas Aces may be in some hot water.
Oh, yeah. Funny you should ask. So, yeah, the WNBA is investigating allegations that the Aces kind of snuck around a league-wide salary cap by offering players extra money under the table. So, yeah, a bit of scandal there.
How did that come about?
So the whole scheme isn't exactly like the height of Cloak and Dagger. It apparently worked like this. Someone from the Aces would be on a phone call with a prospective new player that they want to hire. They would end the phone call and they say, you're going to get a call in a few minutes from a company. And this company would call the prospective new player up or a player who was looking to extend their contract. And it would be like, hey, this is Joe from XYZ company, and I have a job for you, an extra, say, $50,000 for no work at all. So this kind of no work job offer kind of thing was a way for the Aces to kind of get around the league-wide salary caps.
If true,
the alleged calls.
Right. I don't think we have any names of companies or any real specifics, and no one's really reporting on any of that yet, but it seems to be early, only a confirmation that there's some kind of investigation.
So my understanding is that it has to do with Dearica Hamby. So she's one of the previous players on the team. But what's kind of the in-between drama of the story?
So Dearica Hamby, in a recent social media post following she got traded to the Los Angeles Sparks, she accused the Las Vegas Aces of unprofessional and unethical treatment surrounding her pregnancy. And so that kind of brought some extra scrutiny to the Las Vegas Aces.
I mean, that's really interesting how a league of female athletes treats a pregnant athlete is definitely something worth scrutiny and see if they kind of broke any kind of rules or there was mistreatment. I think in that same social media post, Andrew, I saw something about her saying, and they didn't give me some of the enticements or incentives, something like that they promised they were going to give me. And that, I think, raised everyone's eyebrows like, oh, are they going around the salary cap and now potentially this investigation? Wow.
So the upset isn't really whether or not the incentives are happening. The issue is she's mad she didn't get hers.
Well,
and
she said, yeah, she was like definitely
they said they
ranting.
were going to give me, right. But then her complaint opened up the window to, oh, by the way, this is the thing they're doing. They're promising people incentives and therefore paying people more than what they said they're going to pay people.
Right. And then some reporting is like, yeah, and we think that might be this whole workaround that now Vegas might be busted doing. And I think some people think, is Vegas the only ones who are doing this, if they're even doing it? And are we only focusing on Vegas because they just won? You know?
That's what it feels like. I feel like they're all up in our business as a result of that. But I think that brings forward the question around salary caps, right? Because I think they do this with college athletes too. And so the college athletes have just gone through a lot of conversations around what they get paid and whether or not they can own their names and things like that. But we're talking about, okay, this is people's careers. This is their professional job in the game, but there's a salary cap.
Right.
So let's focus on the salary cap because that's the one that seems to get everyone's attention. Why do we even have salary caps in the WNBA or anywhere, Andrew?
Well, yeah, and there is a lot of conversation about the point and the purpose of salary caps. And to kind of rewind, so that's the problem with these conversations that the Las Vegas Aces were allegedly having, is that they're violating the salary caps that were set in the 2020 collective bargaining agreement, the league-wide bargaining agreement.
And do we know how much that is? I don't think it's a big number.
I think this year it goes to like 1.4 million for your entire team.
What?
And I guess so it's not a lot. It comes out to about 215,000 per player if you calculate it a certain way. And the point of these salary caps originally had to do with controlling costs and kind of keeping the competitive playing fields competitive, right? Because you don't want Dr. Evil coming in and saying, I'm going to form the dream team by offering every player $1 billion, right?
And then $1 billion.
Right, exactly. And so, the infamous $1 billion. So the idea of salary caps is that it keeps things competitive, so you don't have rich teams, rich cities just artificially dominating the literal playing field.
Vogue, that does not seem like a lot of money for an entire WNBA team.
I'm looking through it. And so when we talk about the WNBA and the NBA, there's always been discussions about inequity between how they're treated, what their training facilities look like, and then, of course, how much they get paid. For the NBA players, their average is a little over $8 million. That's the average per player. Whereas women get paid $75,000. That's the average pay for women in the WNBA. Same thing with golf. Golf has a big gap as well. For men's golf, it's 1 million. Women's, it's 48,000. And it goes down the line. Soccer, softball, tennis. The gap is massive in between men and women's teams. So I'm not really mad at the fact that, the possibility of the Aces being paid more through different ways. And they're playing the same sport, right? So it's not like, women's basketball is different or less intense than men's basketball. Like, these are people putting their bodies on the line day by day. And if they're injured, then they don't get to play and they don't get paid. So
right. The same toll on bodies relative, right? The same windows of opportunity to play and then having to live their lives and stuff.
Yeah. And my feeling from, reading comments on social media is that people are kind of very forgiving in this, in the instance of this scandal, because to them, it's not about, the Aces allegedly cheating the system. It's about refocusing the spotlight on the sexist pay inequities in professional sports. So it tracks exactly with what Vogue is saying.
I mean, I get it. I imagine that you have to offer some manner of incentives or enticements to get the talented people to come. How that works out within the concept of inequity between teams is something they probably should be very, very thoughtful or more thoughtful about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And ironically, the collective bargaining agreement, kind of part of the purpose of that originally was to actually raise the salaries and put some systems in a parity with the NBA. So it raised revenue sharing from 20% to 50%. It raised salaries. There are percentage increases, annual cap increases built in through the 8-year life of the contract. But it's kind of like this, collective bargaining giveth, but collective bargaining kind of taketh away at the same time. And so I think people are seeing the limits of these salary cap structures that they have to put into place.
And I think it's not just about how much they're being paid. I think it makes sense for the pay to be equal, but I also think it makes sense for them to be invested in, like, the spaces that they plan to be invested in, for the way that they're treated, and also to take into account, okay, if these are people with different types of bodies, then keeping that in mind and saying, okay, is there paid leave, and what does that amount look like, and how does that balance out the amount of work that they've done, because these are not 9-to-5 jobs at all. So I think it's a wraparound thing. It's not just the inequity about the salary, but how are we investing in these teams as a whole?
Yeah. Well, I hope this, salary cap issue doesn't overshadow kind of the bigger conversation of how we treat female athletes and in general. And I think maybe some good can come out of even an investigation of our beloved Las Vegas Aces.
This episode is brought to you by California Almonds. Almonds are a great addition to any wellness routine. They're the perfect on-the-go snack, and only a handful of almonds is all you need to get the benefits. Like 50% of your recommended daily value of vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect and keep your skin healthy. So no matter what wellness looks like to you, yoga, massages, listening to your favorite podcast, almonds are easy to bring along. Eat almonds. Live well. Repeat.
All right, let's move on to our next subject. I can't think of a more polar opposite to talking about women's athletics than talking about Jim Belushi.
Everybody's favorite.
Everyone's favorite. He's definitely in the top 2 Belushis that we know. Jim Belushi is coming to town, to Las Vegas, to hawk his cannabis brand. Okay, so this is a growing trend.
Who's his market?
Who isn't coming to Las Vegas to hawk their cannabis brand?
Exactly. The weed according to Jim. And he has his own farm up in Oregon, and he grows weed. And he is coming to town to do a thing over at Planet 13, that giant cannabis dispensary just off the strip. This is a trend, like I said. A lot of celebrities out there doing the branding of cannabis. Now, I imagine that some celebrities are more involved in the cultivation than others. I think we probably trust Willie Nelson more than we trust Steve Urkel. That's right, Jaleel White.
I think both of them. You could trust them both.
Can you? All right. Well, maybe both of them more than Bella Thorne, who also has one.
Who is that?
I know.
It's kind of like this like cannabis thing is sort of like it's like the weed version of the Vegas residency, right? When they come to town to hawk their new weed brand, right? It's just the
Biebs got one. Of course, Snoop Dogg has it. Not Cheech, but Chong. Maybe Cheech is in on that too. But hey, with all these celebrities hawking cannabis, putting their names on it, maybe even being involved in the growing, is this a sign that weed has finally gone all the way mainstream?
I think it always has been mainstream, and people have just been quiet about it because, there's the cloud of stigma above marijuana usage. And so I think if you've got family or friends who are going to judge you as a result of it, you don't say as much. And I think for movie stars and stuff like that, I think they've got a little bit more freedom too to put their name on cannabis, especially if they live in a state where it's legal. So they're just like, all right. I mean, Snoop makes sense. This is Snoop's moment. And then now he has Martha Stewart. So now he's reaching across multiple groups of people.
I mean, would you be more likely, Andrew, to buy a strain or a packaging from your favorite celebrity? Who is your favorite celebrity, Andrew? Well,
I probably would. I would say the Biebs. It would be my favorite celebrity. Really? But that's just because I just wanted to say the Biebs.
baby.
No.
Wow.
I never heard that term of endearment before. I love it. Yeah, not necessarily. I go for whenever I partake and go to one of the dispensaries, I am always drawn to sort of professional, kind of natural-ish looking packaging that says like this is somehow actually connected to the original plant. So I'm not so much a celebrity weed brand buyer, but I am kind of curious though, like the cultural sort of dominance of weed in the national conversation and the amount of capital that's amassing behind it. You would probably have a good take on this, David. Like, when are we going to reach that tipping point when, we hit federal legalization? It feels like that we should have hit that tipping point a long time ago. I'm impatient.
In a lot of ways, it has seemed to become bipartisan because while some stuff in Congress is black and white, cannabis is green. And everybody likes a little bit of that green.
It's every brand of green, actually, because it is the money green. I mean, when we had Commissioner Circlebloom on here, he was like, there's money to be made in pot.
As Vogue likes to say, there's money in the banana stand.
There's money there's money in the weed stands. There's money in the gardening. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how many more stars end up investing in it. And I think some of them invest because it's just like, I already smoke this, and why not? I get to have a garden and walk through my weed farm, and what an interesting way to retire. And I think others, it's just like, it's a thing to put money in, and it's cool. Like it's still holding on to the cool, but the medicinal components of it, I think, are worthwhile.
Yeah. So. And in answer to your question, Andrew, a lot of people think this might be the year for some real movement on federal legalization. The state of Nevada is making some moves even though it's legal here, they're kind of cleaning up some stuff. And federally, that might happen too. I know that part of our congressional delegation is pushing for it because it does help all the people here. So we'll see if that happens. Quick fun fact, all marijuana sold in Nevada has to be grown in Nevada. So while Jim Belushi has his own farms up in, like, say, Oregon or whatever, to get the Jim Belushi strain here, it has to be grown here. And so how it comes from Oregon to Nevada, that is the mystery that nobody ever wants to talk about.
Illegal.
I'm just saying. But once it's in our cultivation centers, then it becomes legal because they could trace it and the whole thing, seed to sale. But how did we get that seed in the first place? That's kind of a mystery. All right, here's a rapid fire. What celebrity cannabis brand would you want to see hit the market?
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk.
I mean, really, he's done it all. He brought skateboarding to a level of national popularity that is just unheard of. Imagine what he could do with weed. Plus skating, he's going high on the ramps.
Wow.
No?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was a stretch.
All right, Vogue.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh,
that's what I want.
Now, would it be Halloween Jamie Lee Curtis, or would it be Everything Everywhere?
Everything Everywhere.
Yeah.
That version of her. I think it needs to be marketed in multiple places. So yeah, I vote for Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
I think she'd be
I
phenomenal.
can imagine a stranger.
And it'd be like a tea. Like she'd have a tea, and then maybe she'd have like brownies and be like, I'm not smoking that. I'm protecting my lungs, but there's other ways that I can consume this. And it would be a really wholesome brand. And I'm with it.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Michael Cera.
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Just this sweet kind of artisanal indie weed, just, maybe an introspective navel-gazing weed. So,
I'd smoke some Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, give me a little Scott Pilgrim. That's what I'm saying.
I'd take on the world with that, with a puff of that.
And I want to hear the playlist.
Seth Rogen has all of this. Seth Rogen has an entire brand that is a lifestyle brand, and he has like these $400 I'm all putter outers, ashtrays. I know. I was like, this is how you know I do not smoke. He has these ceramic ashtrays, and they're really cool and very fancy. And he took up ceramics as well. And so he went in a deep dive.
Okay, so we've talked about basketball scandals, we've talked about weed, and now just for the trifecta, let's talk about gambling. At least one senator in Hawaii is proposing a bill to ban Nevada from advertising as casinos. Vogue, what's up with this?
Oh, it's so good and juicy. I'm in love with it. So, number one, they want to ban Nevada casino ads, specifically ones that are licensed by the Nevada Gaming Commission. They don't want broadcasted on TV. They don't want it marketed in print. They don't want it on a billboard. They don't want it on a sign twirler. Nothing. Okay? They're not playing on site at all. And they want to also create a general excise tax. And you'll, David, explain what a general, I don't even know how to say the words.
Yeah, we'll hit
what
that.
What is a general excise tax? Please tell me.
Okay, so there's also a part of that. So there's two parts to the bill, from what I understand, what you're talking about, and then a 30% excise tax for people who sell packages to come to Las Vegas or any gambling place. So that was not Nevada specific, but so there's vacation companies in Hawaii that sell casino junket packages, most or many anyway, to Nevada, but they want to put a 30% tax on that as well. So that's the second part of it.
So, okay, on top of that, so basically there's casino vacation packages. Now, this proposed bill doesn't mention the Las Vegas Visitors and Convention Authority. It doesn't mention that advertising company. But you know who it does mention? Boyd Gaming. By name.
Yeah.
And Boyd historically depends on tourism from people in Hawaii. Like reportedly 300,000 trips are made from Hawaiians, like to back and forth between Hawaii and Nevada, specifically Las Vegas. 50% of the rooms at the California, Fremont, and Main Street Station are people from Hawaii.
I guess the thing that's curious to me about this story is that, to your mind, Vogue, is the implication that Las Vegas is, not just tapping a market in Hawaii, but perhaps exploiting, a population in Hawaii. That seems to be like the, kind of like the understory there. What do you think?
It's very clearly and high key targeting Hawaii. So when like the OG Boyd like built the California casino in the 70s, they were about to go bankrupt. And so it was like, crap, what am I going to do? We've got the California, and the California is not bringing in Californians like I wanted it to. He used to work in Hawaii and was a dealer on a gambling barge. And he was like, well, I know Hawaiians. I'm going to target people from Hawaii. So he brought over Coors beer and did free, like the OG, what is the word? Like how timeshares get sold. He was going back to Hawaii and was like, come to Nevada, come drink this free beer, and I'm going to teach you how to sell these lovely packages to the California casino. They went so far as to change the food. So the buffets weren't being like, well, like nobody wanted to eat the food at the buffets. And they said, well, what's a better idea? How do we serve the people who are coming here? We've got all these people from Hawaii here, but they're not eating our food. They changed the food in the buffets. So that almost took Hawaiian culture and kind of packaged the comforts of home in a different state so that they're away from their own tourists and they get to be a tourist here.
That's next level hospitality right there.
Bro, but it's kind of scary. And so I think what it also did, it didn't just advertise come to Vegas. It also advertised come to Vegas and gamble. Come to Vegas and spend your money. David, you've done a lot of work with problem gambling. Do you think that cutting the ads in Hawaii will stop people from Hawaii coming here to gamble?
Yeah, so that's really the ultimate question. So first off, there's only 2 states out of the 48 states that have no gambling whatsoever. Hawaii is one of them. Mm-hmm. Y'all guess what the other one is?
It's Utah.
It's Utah.
So, always Utah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Anyway, so really, if you dig deep into like why the senator is doing it, what you're going to find is a lot of information about problem gambling, about the woes of gambling addiction, about the cost that Hawaii has to shoulder to deal with the dark side of people, especially Hawaiians, who have gambling addictions. And so what the senator is saying is like, look, one place is targeting us more than anyone else. One company owns like the big vacation package place here. It's a subsidiary of Boyd. And they're really like taking from Hawaiians, and then the Hawaiians are coming back, and it's costing us, and we're having problems with our citizens who are not doing well after they go to Las Vegas because of that. And they're not getting their gambling here, so that's why they're targeting Nevada specifically. Now, the bigger question is, will cutting ads stop Hawaiians from gambling, or will it lower the levels of gambling addiction? And, you know, I don't know how that research shakes out in a lot of ways. And there were a lot of citations in some of the testimony that was heard yesterday at the Hawaiian legislature about like how somebody needs to be paying for all this treatment. Someone needs to augment what's going on. And we don't have those bigger conversations. I mean, we say we do. A lot of the casinos, including Boyd, have very robust, responsible gambling type programs. But whether it's enough or not, whether or not they're paying enough for the treatment or the prevention of problem gambling, whether or not they're utilizing the various tools, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, to slow down gambling, to let people reflect upon it, to make sure they're not destroying their lives. You know, that's a question that Las Vegas doesn't really want to answer full blown. And I will say this last thing is that in some of the testimony that the vacation packaging place gave to the Hawaiian legislature, they never mentioned problem gambling. And, you know, even some of the people who are tweeting out in Las Vegas, like our Mayor Carolyn Goodman, don't talk about problem gambling. And that is what the senator is saying is the impetus for all of this, though he's probably going about the wrong way and probably in an unconstitutional way.
Here's my question, though. Is it about the money? Like, is it about all of our locals are going out of town and spending their money somewhere else? So is it about the money, or is it about we want to stop gambling, like we want gambling? Gambling is a major issue for our community. Which one do you feel like is the major component here? I'll throw it to Andrew.
Well, if I had to sort of divine the motives behind the proposed bill, it seems to be, sort of public spirited in the sense that they want to protect the sort of health and well-being of Hawaiians. If it does, in fact, come down to problem gambling, in which case it kind of makes something like, an excise tax, a problem gambling tax cover charge kind of thing, sound like not a terrible idea, in as much as it pushes resources to the social and economic consequences of gambling.
See, that's going to be the burden because of the Constitution to the United States. It's commercial speech, right? It's advertising a legal business. And so that's the first threshold. The second threshold is, does this law actually protect the public safety? And they have to show why advertising increases problem gambling in Hawaii that they have to pay for. And that's going to be a very difficult burden for them to overcome. So that part of the law, probably dead in the water from a constitutional standpoint. The excise tax on the vacation packages, we'll follow that as well. That really kind of affects Boyd and Hawaiian businesses more than it potentially affects Las Vegas. So we're in the middle of Black History Month, and I want to talk about events and stuff to do in Las Vegas. So what are you looking forward to this month?
So many good things. Left of Center Art Gallery has an exhibition about, it's called Blanket of Protection, and it's really an ode to the Tuskegee Airmen. You get to see all these beautiful Black pilots, just all these gorgeous skies that all the different painters painted. It's going to be at the West Charleston Library, and the reception is going to be on Valentine's Day, so February 14th, and it'll be at 5:30 p.m. It's free. It's open to the public. There will be snacks, and you get to meet the artists because the work is created by artists who are living. So that's what I'm excited about.
Awesome. And Andrew, you are the publisher of the List.Vegas that has all the hot events to hit on all sorts of topics, including, as I know, Black History Month. So what are some of the good ones that the List.Vegas is putting out there and that you're interested in?
Yeah, we've got a hot list of 22 events celebrating Black History Month. And two actually are really popping on my radar that I'm really excited about. One is actually a 2-day celebration. The Contemporary West Dance Theater is doing a 2-day Black History Month celebration at the West Las Vegas Library. Bernard Gaddis, he's the creative director of this dance group, and they just put on some of the most amazing dance performances at really cool venues in town. Saw their holiday show at the Charleston Heights Art Center. It blew my mind. I try to see every show. So that's one that's on my radar.
I love that venue too. That's such a great venue.
Great place. And on actually February 25th, there is actually a Black-owned market that's going to happen at Ferguson's downtown. And it's actually going to be curated by a local company called Tofu Teas, which is a Black-owned business that sells arts and crafts and cool shirts and stuff like that.
The owner is super young too. Like it's
8 years old or something.
I think she's like 14 at this point.
Oh, 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've really become a presence at Ferguson's downtown. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to be the nucleus of this curated Black-owned marketplace experience February 25th.
What about you, David?
Yeah, I'm going to throw in one or two. I'm curious about the Springs Preserve Black History Month Festival. It's going to be on Saturday, February 18th from 10 to 4 p.m. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff. They're calling it a family-friendly festival with arts and crafts and historic exhibits. And then they're going to do some authentic African-American cuisine, dance performances, all good. The thing that's caught my eye the most, however, is this year's theme is Black Resistance. I am really curious how they tackle that topic. You know, there's a lot in the news. I wonder if how far back they're going to go, how far up they're going to come. So we'll see how that goes. Another one that I'm really looking forward to is a exhibit called Obsidian and Neon, Building Black Life and Identity in Las Vegas. And that's part of Nevada State College. They already had their opening reception, but it is an ongoing exhibit. Black and white photos of Black icons in Las Vegas, including narratives curated by everyone's favorite, Erica Vital-Lazar.
The best.
I love Erica.
Yeah, she's amazing. Jeff Scheid is the photographer involved in that. And Jeff has done work in Las Vegas for decades. He's a great photographer. And let's not forget, shout out, one of the Black icons in this wonderful exhibit is our own co-host, Vogue Robinson.
It's me.
Applause, 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 and well-deserved. Also, a great part of that exhibit. So hopefully everyone will go check that out as well. Good alternative if you're not interested in watching the Super Bowl, but if you are interested in watching the Super Bowl this weekend, go your team or go where you got your bet.
Go get wings, eat the food, enjoy good company.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere you guys would recommend to go see the Super Bowl? like it's a movie. Go see the Super Bowl.
I'm on team. Let's find another activity to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, so as publisher of the List.Vegas, I keep my finger on the pulse of events in Las Vegas, and that sounded terrible.
It did.
But there's a couple parties on my radar. One of them actually is at the Nerd downtown. I don't know if you guys have been there, but it's like a cosplay video game bar. And of every Super Bowl party that you could imagine at every bar in the Valley is, probably going to be pretty much your standard wings and drunkenness, mayhem. But the Nerd promises to, pump it up with their own specific cosplay flavor. So that's one that's on my radar that I might pop on down to Neonopolis and check out.
Oh, cool. You could dress up like Jim Belushi.
Yeah, there you go. Big old joint.
There you go. Hey, thank you, Vogue. Thank you, Andrew, for joining us this morning on CityCast Las Vegas Roundup.
You're welcome.
Thanks, David.
Fun talk. That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our lead producer is Sonia Cho Swanson. Our producer is Layla Muhammad. Our newsletter editor is Scott Dickensheets. And our hosts are me, Doug Frigler, and Vogue Robinson. Music is by OG Moose, All the Kimonos, and Epidemic Sound. We record this show on the traditional homelands in the Nuuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Y'all take care.
The silence was profound.
Yeah. I'd imagine. Yeah, I know.
You almost took on an attitude of prayer.
Almost.
Oh my God.